Should we start with a little music?
Sure.
All right. All right, I know a lot of you know this one, so I hope that you'll clap with me. Hey, Steve, want to echo me? How good it is. Except you have to unmute.
Is
How sweet it is
how sweet it is
to be
to
together on this day. How good it is.
how good it is,
How sweet it is
how sweet it is
to be together
together
on
on
this
this
day.
day.
Ah, it's so nice to see everybody again. I missed you all. I wish I could be in person to give you a high five or a fist bump. So I'm going to give you a virtual high five right here. Mm. It's so great to see you all. I'm really happy we're together again. This is the beginning of our Wednesday Tefillah, our year-long opportunity to learn and pray and sing together. All we need from you is a good, loud voice, a good, prayerful heart, and some really excited attention so that we can sing our songs, learn our prayers, and most importantly, build this community where all of us are valued, all of us are important, and all of us are helping make this place welcoming and warm and wonderful, just like we like it. So I'm really glad to see you all. Cantor is going to take it away, and we're going to get started with some songs and some prayers, some tefillot right now.
So here's what I'm going to ask of all of you. Because we can't hear each other's voices, because Zoom doesn't really allow us to kind of hear each other's voices, which of course is driving me crazy because I really want to hear your voices. So instead, I need to see that you're singing because your mouths are moving, and I'm gonna try and like do some movements when I can. So like if there's clapping or whatever, like I'm adding those movements so that we can really feel each other praying and being together as a community. So I really hope that you will kind of keep your face on the screen. I'm talking to teachers, I'm talking to students, I'm talking to everybody. Keep your face up here. Like it's really easy to get distracted, like, oh, look at my water bottle and I need to clean my desk. It's easy to kind of do things, so don't do that stuff. This is your little time to just keep your face on the screen and do the stuff with us. So we're going to start with a little rapping. The rabbi has been warming up all day, ready for this rap. And here we go. I said ho, I said hey, I said are you ready to pray?
I said ho, I said hey, I said, are you ready to pray?
And you guys have to sing with the rabbi. Listen up, listen up, listen up, listen up. Let's come together to pray.
Listen up, listen up, listen up, listen up. Let's come together to pray.
I need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That is how we make a minion.
I need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That is how we make a minion.
I said hey, I said you. Now let's all stand up for Baruch Hu.
I said hey, I said you. Now let's all stand up for Baruch Hu.
Am I awake? Am I prepared? Are you listening to my prayer? Can you hear my voice? Can you understand? Am I awake? Am I prepared? Yada, 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 yada.
I miss leading prayer with you. So nice.
Thank you. Me too.
It's like Where's Waldo is listening for Steve's fancy guitar licks. So you got to listen for those. So we've come to that part right after Baruch Hu in our service. We're still standing. And this is the part in the evening, which it is, when we say our prayer, kind of paying attention to that time, that sort of magical time between light and dark, the light of the day and the dark of the night. And if you asked me what's the point of praying, I would say one point is to kind of call our attention to the nature and to the world around us, to kind of just say stop for a second and notice that beautiful moment between night and dark. So we're going to sing a little Roll into Dark. Here we go. I want to see everybody moving around with me. Roll into dark, roll into light. Night becomes day, day turns to night. Roll into dark, roll into light. Night becomes day, day turns to night. We're going to sing those words in Hebrew. Borei yom v'layla, golel hor mipnei choshech, golel hor mipnei choshech, v'choshech mipnei or. Roll into dark, roll into light. Night becomes day, day turns to night. Roll into dark, roll into light. Night becomes day, day turns to night. And we end with this little sign off. Baruch atah Adonai, Hamari Varavim.
Straight into the Shema.
Yeah, let's take a nice big breath. Here we go. All right, I think we're ready.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. 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 Shekevod Malchuto, Le'olam Ha'ed. Shekevod Malchuto, Le'olam Ha'ed. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
All right, you may be seated. We're going to have to review our sign language. It's always kind of tricky on that version. It's so fast. But I saw some of you trying. I saw some of you trying. You did great. So after the Shema, we always chant the Ve'ahavta. Now, I just wanted to say a word because I'm so excited for whoever is in 4th grade that you're joining our Wednesday Tefillah for the first time. And I want to welcome you all. And for those of you who are in 5th and 6th grade, I want to ask for your patience because we're going to kind of step back and maybe not do all of the prayers in their entirety that we got to at the end of last year. We're going to kind of dial it back a little because our 4th graders haven't ever prayed all of these prayers with us before. And so you guys are kind of their role models and their examples. So you're the ones who've been here before. So as we chant Ve'ahavta, and Stephanie's going to pull up our slide of Ve'ahavta, and when we chant the Ve'ahavta, it turns out we're actually chanting Torah, because the Ve'ahavta comes right out of the Torah. And I hope you can see me on the side, because I'm going to teach you just a tiny little bit about chanting Torah, which I have to tell you is like one of my favorite things. So when we chant Torah, there's this secret code. And when you look at these Hebrew letters, there's little kind of marks and dots around the letters, which are called the trope. And so today we're just going to learn one trope. Some of you know it all already. And it's the trope that comes at the end of the sentence. Every time you see pink, you'll see the end of the pink phrase ends with like a colon, 2 dots. And it's always going to sound like this. Sof pasuk, the end of the sentence. And we're going to do that with our hands. So let's all sing the end of the sentence and go like that with our hands. The end of the sentence. And you have to hit your hand on the syllable sen of sentence. So one more time. The end of the sentence. And so now we're going to chant a little bit of Ve'ahavta, just like 2 verses. And when we get to that spot on the Hebrew word, we're going to do that movement together. So we go, Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha bechol levavcha uvechol nafshecha uvechol, here it comes, meodecha. That was the end of the sentence. Vehayu hadvarim ha'ela asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha. There it is again. And that's all the Ve'ahavta we're going to do today. And we'll keep reviewing and learning trope as we go. So now we're going to turn to our Mi Chamocha. These are the words the Israelites sang after they had crossed the Red Sea, after they had escaped from where, if you want to type it in the chat, where did the Israelites escape from? That's my question to you. My question is, I'm going to ask you 2 questions. 1, where did they escape from? And 2, how were they feeling? So type those 2 answers in the chat for me. Where did they escape from? I don't see anyone typing yet. And what were they feeling? I see one. Yes, Egypt. Okay, great. Egypt, tired. I like it. A reality check there. Scared, happy. Happiness and tired. I love it. You can keep typing. I'm going to start singing. Nervous and happy, celebrating. Love it. I love this because we can sort of imagine they were feeling a lot, and I imagine they were feeling a lot of things because there were a lot of them, and so probably some were feeling different things. And I feel a little bit like I just crossed the Red Sea of the high holidays, because that is hard work for us clergy, and so we made it to the other side. I'm feeling pretty joyful about that and really glad to be with you. So now we're going to sing one of my favorite settings of Mi Chamocha. I hope you'll rock out a little bit with me. Who is like you, Adonai? Who is like you, Adonai? Ya la la.
There was some serious rocking out going on. I saw it. It was great.
Yes.
All right, my friends, we are just about at the point in our service when we offer the section of the prayers called the Amidah, which in Hebrew means the standing up prayer. And in a second, we're going to stand up to do that. This Amidah comes kind of in the middle of the prayer service. It's sort of like the cream filling in the middle of your Oreo cookie. It's right in the middle of your service. And it's one of the most important sections of the prayer service that we're going to be learning this year as you guys get ready for your grown-up prayer lives. And the first part of the Amidah, the first part of the standing up prayer, you're going to hear us say the names of some people in the Bible, some of our ancestors in our Jewish story. You're going to hear the names Avraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, Leah, Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah. Those are the names of our great grandparents. We start our Amidah remembering the people who came before us in our families and who came before us in our Jewish people, because it's their example and their stories that help us figure out how to be the kinds of people we want to be when we grow up and when we build our own lives. So we're going to make our way, if you're in a place where you're able to stand up for our Amidah, we are going to La'amod, stand up. We're going to start this prayer remembering the people who came before us.
Adonai sifatai tiftahu fi agi tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotenu ve'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, ve'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, ve'Elohei Leah. Ha'el hagadol hagibor ve'hanora, El Elyon, gomel chasadim tovim, ve'konei hakol, ve'zocher chastei avot ve'imahot, umevi geula livnei v'neihem, lema'an shemo be'ahava, melech ozer u'moshia u'magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magin Avraham ve'ezrat Sarah. We're going to pause there. And as we go further into the year, we'll kind of add on to our Amidah prayer. So now we are going to take a moment to pray silently, which might mean just giving thanks for the things you have in your lives, maybe thinking about just, I don't know, things you might want in the world, for the world to be a better place. So I'm going to ask you to maybe add to the chat what you're praying for. It could be what you're grateful for, your prayers for the world. And if you're not feeling like it, that's okay too. And you can just pray what's in your heart. So we're going to take a moment now. Maybe Steve will give us a little beautiful guitar on that Oseh Shalom that he's going to sing for us in a minute. And we sing Oseh Shalom together.
Oseh Shalom B'Yomam, Yaseh Shalom Aleinu, Ve'al Kol Yisrael, Ve'al Kol Yoshvei Tevel,
Beautiful. Thank you, Mr. Dom. Thank you, everybody, for your prayers. If you haven't found your seats again, you can do that. This is the point in our service, in our tefillah time together, when one of the rabbis or one of the cantors or one of your teachers will take a second to share a few thoughts or a story or a reflection on where we are in the year or where we are in our reading of the Torah. You know, every year we read the whole Torah over the course of a year, and once we finish it, we start the story all over again. So this week is not only the beginning, the first day of Hebrew of Wednesday Tefillah, this is also the first day, the first week that we are starting the Torah all over again. We just came through the holiday of Simchat Torah, which means we finished the reading of the Torah and we started over at the very beginning. So this week we are just reading the very beginning of the Torah story. So the beginning of the Torah story, as you may know, talks about the beginning of God creating the world and the very first people who lived on the earth, and the very beginnings of those stories about how those people figured out how to live in the world that God made for them. So I'm going to start with a short trivia question. What was the first thing that God created when God began creating the world? What was the first thing, according to the Torah, that God created? I'm going to keep my eye on the chat to see if someone comes up with an answer. What was the first thing that God created when God started creating the world? Light and darkness. Light. I think we've got a few correct answers. Correctamundo. The first thing, look at that, light and darkness. You guys got it. Yes, the first thing that we are told in the Torah that God created, the first thing that happens is that God says, Yehi or, let there be light. The first thing that God creates is light. So what's interesting is that God creates light before God creates the sun or the moon. So this raises a really interesting question. Where did the light come from? If there was no sun, there was no moon, there were no light bulbs, there were no flashlights, what was that light at the very beginning of creation? Well, Jewish tradition teaches us that maybe the light that God created at the very beginning of the universe wasn't the kind of light that you can see, but is the kind of light that goes on in your mind when you learn something new. And the rabbis teach that that kind of light that goes on in your mind when you learn something new is what we call Torah, is what we call learning, teaching, information, wisdom. So the very first thing that has to be created before there can be a world, before there can be a place that any of us can call home and build the kind of lives that we want to build, is we have to have learning and knowledge and wisdom and information. So it's a pretty cool thing that right now at the very beginning of the Torah story, and also right now at the very beginning of Wednesday school and Wednesday Tefillah, both of them start with learning. Before we can make any decisions about how we want to treat each other, how we want to live in the world, what kinds of decisions we want to make, we have to start with learning. And so what I'm looking forward to at the very beginning of this year of learning is all kinds of insights, all kinds of enlightenment that you'll feel in your brains when you learn something new. And I am super, super excited to start this year together, because every time we learn something new, that information helps us make better decisions about the kinds of people we want to be and the kinds of Jewish lives we want to build. So as we start this year, as we start our learning, as we start experiencing that wonderful feeling of having the light go on in our minds when we learn something new, I'm super excited to be learning with you, to be teaching you, and to be seeing what kinds of light all of you bring to the world. So I want to wish you a happy new year, a happy year of learning, and many, many more experiences of enlightenment and learning. Miss Stephanie has some things to share too, I think.
I do. Thank you so much, Rabbi. Thank you for that wonderful story. I am so excited to be here with all of you today. Where are fifth graders at? Can you like wave, shake your hands? Yay, fifth graders. So fifth graders, it's hard to believe, but you are just about to get to start on the process of choosing your dates for your B'nai Mitzvah. And so you will have family ed this weekend. So on this Sunday at 9:30, please join the Zoom link that Miss Lucy sent you with your parents. We will all be together for about half an hour of learning together. And then you all will go to class and your parents will stay on for a tachlis sort of meeting about the details and the logistics with me. But please join us for that on Sunday. It's hard to believe that that is here already, but here we are. Everybody, all of our 4th through 6th graders, at the end of the service, we're going to ask you, following the closing song, to go ahead and, but not before, after the closing song, but not before, we're going to ask you to go ahead and leave the Zoom meeting. If you have 5:30 small group Hebrew, that will not be on this link. It will be on your classroom link. So we're going to ask you to leave this meeting and go to your 5:30 small group Hebrew meeting on your classroom link. Miss Lucy, Miss Becca, and I will stay on this link in case anybody has any questions or anything after services today. But we're going to ask you all to leave after the closing song, but not before. Thank you all so much for being here with us today. We are thrilled to see you. And I think we have something more to celebrate, don't we, Cantor?
Yes, we are going to acknowledge all of our October birthdays. And why don't we do September while we're at it? I think we did the summer birthdays last May. So if you have a September or an October birthday, please put your name in the chat and let us know so we can celebrate you. And while you're doing that, we're going to start with a little Shehachianu to acknowledge reaching this moment. So
Let's do that one more time.
beautiful. And we have a bunch of birthdays that came up in the chat. Some very important people, Lucy and Logan and Becca and Shira and Ryan Sachs, and that's it. And anyone else who is watching on the stream whose birthday it is, we sing Yom Huledet Sameh. Oh, I don't know what key. Go ahead.
Completely off key, but that's okay.
Completely off key, but so much spirit and happiness. We are going to now rise for our mourner's Kaddish. We remember those we have loved and lost. And this is, when we talked about that minyan back in Baruch, you need a minyan to say this prayer because you're supposed to say it in community with people who love you and your community around you. So we say this prayer together. Stephanie's going to share the slide. Yitkadal ve'yitkadash shemei rabah be'alma divra chirute ve'yamlich malchute b'chayechon uvyomechon uvchaye dechol beit Yisrael ba'agala uvizman kari ve'imru amen. Yehe shemei rabah mevarach le'alam ulalmei almaya Yitbarach ve'yishtabach ve'yitpa'ar ve'yitromam ve'yitnaseh ve'yithadar ve'yitale ve'yithalal shemei dekudsha brichu le'ela min kol birchata ve'shirata tushbechata ve'nechemata da'amiran be'alma ve'imru amen. Yehe shlama rabba min shemaya ve'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imru amen. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru, amen. And so now we close our service today, which has been so much fun. I have loved seeing everyone's faces with a little Hey Venu. So I'm going to play guitar, but I hope that those of you not playing guitar will do some moves and you can follow those people. Okay. Here we go. Hey, Venu, Shalom, Aleichem. Ooh, ah, Aleichem, hey, Venu, Shalom. Shoo, wop, hey, Venu, Shalom, Aleichem. Ooh, ah, Aleichem, hey, Venu, Shalom. Hine matol, u'manayim, Shabbat achim, gam yachad. Hine matol, u'manayim, Shabbat achim, gam yachad. Oh, babe, hey, Venu, Shalom, Aleichem. Ooh, ah, Aleichem, hey, Venu, Shalom. Shoo, wop, hey, Venu, Shalom, Aleichem. Ooh, ah, Aleichem, hey, Venu, Aleichem, hey, Venu, Aleichem, hey, Venu, Shalom. Big finish. Everyone, hope you have a great day. So good to see you.